the network for melanated codified people like you. Want to welcome everyone into the space today. Welcome into the Lioness Den. We're here, FlyNubianQueenTV.com. Weekdays, normally between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Y'all already know I had to catch White House Secretary under the Joe Crime Bill Biden presidential administration. I had to catch Lil Orphan Annie today in the press conference, and I had to write down the timestamps. So we are going to go through that, and we're going to also investigate and interrogate this question. Will the Biden administration ship Haitian migrants to Guantanamo Bay? Okay, so there's conversation going on that Haitian migrants may be shipped off to Guantanamo Bay. I don't know if y'all were aware, but between 1991 and 1994, there was a Haitian migration crisis, and many Haitian migrants ended up in Guantanamo Bay. Okay, now so if you see the thumbnail of today's broadcast, you will see an image from 1994 where there were a bunch of Haitian migrants at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. All right, so listen, welcome to the Lioness Den. Hit the like button, share this broadcast. The first order of business, we're going to just do this quickly. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So, great question. The tourist asked this question: Gitmo is a prison. Why would immigrants being housed in a prison? I do not recall the U.S. housing Mexican or Afghan immigrants in a military prison such as this. Well, sis, back in, like I said, 1991, 1994, if we look it up, I have the receipts right here. There were numerous Haitian immigrants, migrants housed at Guantanamo Bay, okay? That happened already. And so we do know that the White House, what does this say? I'm gonna give you a real headline. Biden administration seeks a contractor for a migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay, and they're looking for someone, they're hiring someone that speaks Haitian Creole, right? And so I'm like, oh, damn. So listen, this is out of NPR.org. It says, as the Biden administration scrambles to relocate thousands of Haitian migrants camped in a small Texas border town, it's also looking for a private contractor to help operate a migrant detention facility at the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, and to hire at least some guards who speak Spanish and Haitian Creole. When did this come out? This came out at 7 a.m. Eastern Time, September the 23rd, 2021, which is today. Okay? So, legitimate question. It says the Department of Homeland Security insists that there are no plans to transfer Haitian migrants from the U.S.-Mexico border to Guantanamo Bay, where the U.S. has long housed asylum seekers encountered at sea. So again, they just established, like I just said, that they have been housing where, quote, where the U.S. has long housed asylum seekers encountered at sea. So this is something that they've been doing. Still, the contract solicitation published last week has alarmed some immigrant advocates who are already critical of the Biden administration's decision to quickly expel more than 1,000 Haitian migrants back to a country that is still reeling from recent disasters. According to the contract solicitation, the facility at Guantanamo Bay, quote, will have an estimated daily population of 20 people, end quote. But the service providers should be prepared to, quote, erect temporary housing facilities for populations that exceed 120 and up to 400 migrants in a surge event. What are they planning for, y'all? I have questions. We have questions. Welcome everyone to the Lioness Den. I see my Aries sis. I see Candace DeLeo is in the house. Lisa D is here. We got folks in the digital building. Back to the article, it says this equipment includes tents and cots, and the contractor must be able to have these assembled and ready with little notice. The Biden administration put this bulletin out looking for a private contractor with some workers that at least speak Haitian Creole and Spanish. They put that out last week. We saw what happened last week. We saw what happened last week at the border with these Haitians. So what is going on? Now listen to this. The solicitation, the job announcement or the solicitation for a private contractor specifies that, quote, at least 10% of the augmented personnel must be fluent in Spanish and Haitian Creole. Air transportation to and from the facility is the sole responsibility of the service provider, end quote. Since the September 11th attacks, Guantanamo Bay has been known primarily as the site of a U.S. military prison where some detainees have been held for years without trial. What the hell is the Biden administration up to? What is going on? What is going on around these parts? It says, but the naval base is also home to Department of Homeland Security Immigration Detention Facility. In the early 1990s, I told y'all, the base was used as a refugee camp for Haitians fleeing by boat after the democratically elected president of Haiti, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, was deposed in a military coup. At its peak, the refugee camp back in the 1990s, like I said, between 1991 and 1994, y'all, held more than 12,000 Haitians under what immigrant rights advocates described as deplorable conditions. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? Let me go ahead and put that in the chat while y'all hit the like button. Do we believe that Joe Crime Bill Biden, President Jim Crow Joe, wouldn't ship these folks back to Guantanamo Bay? Do y'all believe that he would do this or not? And just so you know, remember, if y'all didn't know, the Haitian migrant crisis happened between 1991 and 1994. Up to 12,000 Haitian migrants who were fleeing by boat the country of Haiti after Aristide was overthrown by what they call a military dictator. 12,000 of these Haitian migrants ended up at Guantanamo Bay at an immigration facility in quote unquote conditions that immigrant rights advocates described as deplorable conditions. Were deplorable, basically. So do we not understand or believe that Joe Crime Bill Biden wouldn't in 2021 send some Haitians back to Guantanamo Bay? Also, remember, I keep telling y'all the years. They keep saying 1990s, between 1991 and 1994 is when this crisis happened, and that's when 12,000 Haitian folks were at Guantanamo Bay in deplorable conditions. But also, what happened in 1994, Joe Crime Bill Biden made this damn statement about Haiti. This is from 1994, and this is off of Hawk Newsom's. This is off of Hawk Newsom's Instagram page.
I asked the reporters to come down and talk to me and said, why is Biden so concerned about Bosnia and not about Haiti? Is it because blacks are involved in Haiti? Blacks are what at stake in Haiti, and in Bosnia, they're European whites. If Haiti, a god-awful thing to say, if Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot to the
If Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot in terms of our American interests, is what this bastard said in 1994. That's your president, Joe Crime Bill Biden. If you voted for Joe Crime Bill Biden in the chat, or if you identify as a Biden sexual, go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat. Go ahead and drop a 1. Drop a 1. Drop a 1. Should I read it again? What he said? Should we restate it? I mean, is it necessary to restate what Joe Crime Bill Biden said in 1994 about the country of Haiti? If Haiti just quietly sunk into the Caribbean or rose up 300 feet, it wouldn't matter a whole lot in terms of our interests. What y'all think about that? Do y'all not? I mean, listen, white supremacy also takes multiple sides of the argument. Do I believe that Joe Crime Bill Biden would actually send Haitian migrants to Guantanamo Bay in 2021 and beyond? Absolutely. Hell yeah. When somebody shows you who they are, you got to believe them. You got to believe them. But if y'all want to check out this little clip, y'all can go ahead and check that out on your own time. On your own time. If you're just tuning in and tapping into the Lioness Den, I'm your sister Lioness Crown, your revolutionary, unapologetically Black host, right here at FlyNubianQueen.com, the network for melanated peoples like you. Y'all do believe that he would send people back to Guantanamo Bay? Of course he ain't sending no Afghans to no Guantanamo Bay. I'm not going to play it again just yet, Ronald. We're going to get to some new business. Now, the link, though, is in the chat for your reference. If you're watching the replay, come back over to FlyNubianQueenTV.com, YouTube channel, find this original stream, and go into the live stream comments because I'm going to be dropping quite a few articles today. Now, where I was just reading from NPR.org, y'all can go. I always encourage you all to do your own research. I have a lot of things up. We're not going to get through all of this stuff. It is quite damn interesting. But y'all know what I find more interesting and fascinating? I think, I'm not really a TV person. I don't really watch Live Vision. But when I do, I want it to be worth it. I want it to be something that is going to be like constructive. I want it to be something that's going to teach me something. I want it to be something that I can learn from. And, it's nice if it's also entertaining. And so I am really, really grateful to say that I found something new that I'm really into that is informative. I found like it's constructive. It's helping me think about producing justice. And you already know that justice is guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person who needs help the most always gets the most constructive help. Shout out to Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. So with that said, my favorite new pastime, and it's a guilty pleasure, y'all. It's a guilty pleasure. Do not laugh at me. Do not judge me. It is a guilty pleasure. But I must confess that I have a new guilty pleasure daily. This is what I'm tapped into. Little orphan freaking Annie and her antics at these White House press conferences. Listen, I listened to the one today, like I said. Let's go ahead and get to the first timestamp. What have they been saying about Haiti? What are the updates from yesterday? And I think it was Monday. Let's listen.
United States' inhumane, counterproductive decision to deport thousands of Haitian refugees. Why would DHS go ahead with a plan against the special envoy's advice?
Well, let's take a step back here for a moment. I would also first note that the State Department put out a statement on his resignation. He was obviously an employee of the State Department and, of course, of the administration.
So if y'all don't know what they're talking about, this dude named Daniel Foote, and I'll put this article from CNN in the chat. All right. Special envoy, this is from CNN.com. Special envoy for Haiti resigns, citing inhumane U.S. decision to deport thousands of Haitians from the U.S. border. So this white man resigned from his position as the special envoy for Haiti. So now little orphan Annie is being grilled on this by a Black reporter. Let's listen to how she responds.
First, I would note there have been multiple senior level policy conversations on Haiti where all proposals, including those led by Special Envoy Foote, were fully considered in a rigorous policy process. There are disagreements in these policy processes. That the president welcomes that, the Secretary of State welcomes that. That's certainly a part of having discussions and having robust discussions about the best path forward for difficult circumstances. Some of those proposals were harmful to our commitment to the promotion of democracy in Haiti. I'm not going to detail that further. I will let the State Department do that should they choose to. But I would note that Special Envoy Foote had ample opportunity to raise concerns about migration during his tenure. He never once did so. Now, that wasn't his purview. His purview was, of course, being the special envoy on the ground. His positions were, and his views were put forward. They were valued. They were heard. Different policy decisions were made in some circumstances.
It's not just him. We've heard from Democrats on Capitol Hill, too, who say they're really against these mass deportations. The White House still stands behind the mass deportations. You still view them as humane?
First of all, they're not deportations. People are not coming into the country through legal methods. And again, our policy process has continued to be the same with Haiti as it is for anybody coming through for the irregular migration across our border. I'd note, as I did yesterday, that as we've applied our border restrictions, as we've applied our immigration policies, there were more than 90,000 people who departed the country, who attempted to cross our border in the month of August. That was even before we saw the horrible photos that we saw of people gathering under the bridge. There is a process that is in place as people, whether they're coming from Haiti or any part of the world, goes through. Go ahead.
Jen, we haven't yet heard recently from President Biden specifically about these images on the border. You have described him as saying that they're horrible, but what?
So now the white male reporter comes and asks questions like, we haven't heard President Biden say anything specifically about the images at the border. You have described them as horrible to look at. However, what the hell Biden talking about? Let's see what Laura Orphan Annie says and how she white splains or attempts to white male splain, alabaster splain or something her way out of this one. I'm telling y'all, I be tuned in and tapped into these press conferences. It is quite damn fascinating.
What does he believe of the comparisons being made between his administration and the Trump administration? We saw Congresswoman Maxine Waters just today saying this is Trump's policy. Several other Democrats are saying this looks like the previous administration. What does he think of those comments?
Well, what our role is, and what the president has asked his outreach team, members of his national security team, Homeland Security team to do, is to explain clearly what our policy is and what our policy is not. We could not see it as any more different from the policy of the prior administration, which the president feels, we all feel, was inhumane, immoral, ineffective, wasn't operationally working. And because of the dysfunction of it, we have led to a very broken system that we're dealing with today. So what he has asked all of us to convey clearly to people who are understandably have questions, are passionate, are concerned, as we are about the images that we have seen, is one, we feel those images are horrible and horrific. There is an investigation the president certainly supports, overseen by the Department of Homeland Security, which he has conveyed will happen quickly. I can also convey to you that the secretary also conveyed to civil rights leaders earlier this morning that we would no longer be using horses in Del Rio. So that is something, a policy change that has been made in response. But separately, all related, it's also important for people to understand what our process and our immigration process is and what the steps are that are taken. We are still under Title 42 because we are in a global pandemic. So we are still operationalizing that. If people are not expelled under that, then there are a range of options. Either they are put into an alternative to detention where biometric data is required. They are they are given a notice to appear, or they are put in an ICE facility. This is the process that is ongoing and has happened for every other migrant who has attempted to come irregularly across the border.
Girl, use a damn lie. This has not happened to every other migrant who has attempted to come across the border. Please stop. Girl, Stop.
About the nearly 5 hours of meetings yesterday that gives President Biden hope.
Well,
All
I
right.
think what gives him hope is that there is agreement about the need to do more to address costs for the American public.
All right, they're talking about a budget. So look, we're going to jump to the next timestamp. Do y'all hear Lil Orphan Annie? Lil Orphan Annie, little slimy, slithery, red-headed, alabaster, cottage cheese looking, wrinkled and saggy ass. All right, so here's the next timestamp.
Address a lot of issues the American people care about across the finish line, and making policy is messy. So we're right in the middle of that. So I would say to anyone who feels that way, we're in the middle of navigating and weathering storms and dealing with crises. That's what a president should do. That's what an administration should do. We're not going to shy away from that. And that's what people were elected him to get through. Go ahead.
This is the question.
On Haiti, building on Jeff's question, I mean, when you have Maxine Waters saying that what these images and this policy has harkens back to the slave trade, I mean,
Pause. That was a white reporter, and that's not what Representative Maxine Waters, y'all call her Auntie Maxine, that's not what she said. She said the images coming out of the border against the Haitians were worse than American slavery. And that's quite disrespectful. That is absolutely false. And we did not appreciate that statement, Auntie Maxine. But respectfully, ma'am, if you spent more time actually fighting for our reparations in the interest of foundational Black Americans versus rubbing elbows with people and endorsing policies that disparage us and disadvantage us, and versus endorsing Meg Thee Stallion and them shaking their ass talking about WAP, then maybe, quite just maybe, Representative Maxine Waters, respectfully, you clearly have more empathy for our current condition, and you would, for us foundationally Black Americans, and you would not be disrespecting the greatest human atrocity on the planet, respectfully. But anyway, I just had to let y'all know that's not actually what Representative Maxine Waters said. This white reporter was paraphrasing it, and she did quite a damn horrible job. Yes, I am on one today. I take this very, very seriously. We're tired of the bullshit. All right, y'all go ahead and hit the like button and share this broadcast. Here we go.
you're saying here that you're trying to communicate what the policy is. She and other Democrats who are your allies in other political projects are criticizing that very policy. Isn't this a larger problem, a political problem for the president than just merely communicating what the Title 42 policy is?
It's not just about the Title 42 policy. I think Congresswoman Waters and others, as are we, have been horrified by the photos of the Border Patrol officers and that behavior. And we have taken very specific action in launching an investigation, ending a part of a policy that the Secretary of Homeland Security felt was problematic. There has also been a view that we were handling our immigration policy in a different way than we were handling.
So basically, let's just be real clear. We're going to do a quick history lesson today. Now, white supremacists hate to be called out for their inhumane, barbaric behavior. Using whips and horses, but whips in general, that's a torture device. Let's be really, really clear. And so in the days of slavery, our ancestors called them the cracker man. The cracker man would come around, the overseer or a slave master would come around and crack the whip. So they have used that. You white supremacists today, white folk, they don't like to be called the C word, crackers. But it's not because that they are saltines or because they're pasty looking or they're melanin deficient. It's because the cracker man was an actual person, people who would go around terrorizing and brutalizing Black people, the enslaved, with whips, cracking the whip. That's the cracker man. And so when little orphan Annie over here, looking as, dried up as she is asked about these images that are reminiscent of the brutality of American slavery in particular. She's talking about that she states that the Biden administration is doing what it can do, and they're going through a process to do an investigation, and they should have some results in a week. Why does there need to be an investigation? What is this investigation? When it comes to us and our brutality and what's happened to us, there's always got to be a study. There has to be an investigation. They need more context. They need more damn information. And nobody will say anything. Little orphan Annie, in my opinion, the suspected white supremacist, liberal, redheaded mouthpiece of Joe Crime Bill Biden, the bigot, the Lucifer, who's in the White House, does a damn good job of being on code with white supremacy. Just need to name that. This is probably, I'm telling y'all, this is why these press conferences, these daily press briefings, this is the jam. This is my shit. Because we get to see them at work and in action in real time, working their sorcery. But anyway, here we go, back to little orphan Annie.
For other migrants who are coming across the border. That's not true. And so what we've been doing is trying to explain what our policy and our process is, and reiterate to everyone that our objective is not to keep the policy as it is, which is broken, which is not workable long-term, to work with people who are frustrated, to put in place a new immigration policy that is humane, that is orderly, that does have robust asylum processing. But we've also reiterated.
Notice how she just said a new policy, new immigration that is humane. She just admitted to the fact that what the hell was happening at the border was inhumane, but she won't condemn the whips. She will not condemn the whips.
That it is our objective to continue to implement what is law and what our laws are, and that includes border restrictions. Go ahead.
Jen, in the spirit of explaining policy, can you explain how the administration is determining who gets to come in and get processed under Title VIII and get an NTA and who's getting expelled? On the ground reporting suggests that it's based off demographic, not racial demographic, but if you come in as a family, single adult.
So you notice how this white dude is asking a question that is also codified in white supremacy, because the conversation on the ground and internationally even is that those migrants or immigrants who actually get access and are able to come into the United States of America in a very orderly and humane fashion, rather, people are arguing that it's based on race, that when you're Black, you get the nigger treatment. You get the nigger treatment when you're Black, right? When you're Black skinned. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like this. But notice how this reporter, this white male reporter, shout out to everyone in the line is down. I'm gonna need y'all to hit the like button and share this broadcast. Notice how this reporter ask his question in a very codified manner. And he says, well, demographic, people are saying that, folks are gaining entry into the United States based off of demographic information, but not necessarily race. Bullshit. It's all about race. Let me rewind that back. Y'all have to understand and be able to pick up on double speak when you hear it. Somebody put double speak in the chat.
And who's getting expelled. On the ground reporting suggests that it's based off demographic, not racial demographic, but if you come in as a family, single adult, what have you. How is Border Patrol determining right now who actually gets to stay in and get processed and who gets expelled under Title 42?
Sure. So across the border, including in the Del Rio sector, we continue to enforce Title 42. Families and single adults are typically expelled under this CDC directive when possible. The determination of who can be expelled or not is determined by a number of factors, including the makeup of the specific family unit. Some people with kids who are younger than a certain age are not accepted back in certain countries. We know that from our immigration policy writ large, long before the last couple of weeks. And agreements with the country of origin and as well as agreements with the country of origin or last residence. As you know, and as all of you have reported, this is not just a case of everyone coming directly from Haiti. People are coming from different countries, some where they have lived for periods of time. Family units are different. And so each is made on a case-by-case basis. Another determining factor is detention capacity.
She's talking about all of these factors are detention capacity, and she's about to explain what that means. If it's a single person at the border versus a whole family, if they got young children. And she was like, and it's not just Haiti. Basically, this is not an anti-Black policy. Bullshit. What do y'all see on your screen? What do you see on your screen today, class? What does this look like to you? Raggedy Ann. Oh my God, I had a Raggedy Ann doll when I was little. Raggedy Ann. Airbnb. Must be nice. So John Spencer sees 1820 on the screen. My mother is texting me all types of stuff, making all types of requests. She's spoiled. Y'all spoil y'all parents like I spoil mine. L. Frankly, that's my sis, says a picture is worth 1,000 words, or this picture is worth 1,000 words. Ray Sabot just got into the building. Welcome into the Lioness Den. I'm gonna need y'all to hit the like button and share this broadcast. Evelyn Dunlap, what my sis say? I want. That's exactly what we see on the screen. Black light. That's what we want to know. And also, I said this yesterday. I'm going to say it again. Said it once. I'm going to say it again. I am exposing the white-splaining and the anti-Black policies coming out of the Biden administration. I am not in any way advocating for illegal immigration into the United States, or an influx of immigration into the United States of America, because I am very, very clear that the more and more folks that the United States welcomes in every year, it further and further puts foundational Black Americans, indigenous Blacks, as Dr. Claude Anderson likes to call us, puts us at a disadvantage economically, socially, and otherwise. I'm very, very clear that immigration, especially flooding a lot of folks into Black neighborhoods, destabilizes a Black economy. I'm very, very clear. So the purpose of this broadcast, though, is to highlight, is to extrapolate upon, is to illustrate, the hypocrisy and the anti-Black racist policies coming out of the Joe Crime Bill Biden presidential. Anything is better than Donald J. Trump. Gotta vote for Biden. You don't vote for me, you ain't Black. Administration. That's what we're doing. Oh, and we're also condemning the white supremacists discussing violent, vitriolic behavior towards other melanated peoples on the planet as well. I'm also very, very clear. I can hold space for multiple things at the same damn time. But anyway, let's get back to Little Orphan Annie. Shout out to y'all. Y'all are in the Lioness Den. Be sure to text the word Queens to 31996. That's Queens with an S to 31996. That way you will be notified when we go live on the platform. Oh, and get your tickets to the All Black National Convention. allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com.
both within ICE and CPB. And so, as we've stated, those who cannot be expelled are placed into removal proceedings and issued a notice to appear, or when capacity issues and processing backlogs arise, they may be processed via an alternate means, which requires them to report to an ICE office to commence the next steps in their immigration proceedings. That's how the process works.
DHS thus far has not given data on, specifically in Del Rio, of those who have been processed under Title 8 and those who have been processed under Title 42. Is there any breakdown that you can provide on that?
I think they did provide yesterday, and I think they're going to be providing regular updates. And certainly this is something that is under their purview, as you noted, that the department has conducted 2 repatriation flights yesterday. I'm just going to give you a little more information than you asked for, but just so everybody has it, with a total of 318 Haitian nationals on board. These flights will continue since Sunday, September 19th. 12 repatriation flights have left the United States.
Repatriation means sending your ass back the way you came from. That's what repatriation flights mean. And so just so y'all know, let me move back a little bit. Little Orphan Annie in her press conferences, this is what she's going to do. If someone says that Haitian migrants are being deported back to Haiti, she's going to say that is incorrect. They were never processed into the United States. Anyway, they never migrated here and were processed and allowed to be in the country. So we're not deporting them. That's a technicality, y'all. So it's not deportation. She's calling it repatriation flights. Repatriation flights. To repatriate means to go back to your fatherland or your homeland. So they're calling the Biden administration is calling these repatriation flights. Okay. Just so we're clear.
States, 1,401 Haitian nationals have been returned to Haiti. 3,206 Haitian nationals have been moved from the Del Rio camp to CBP custody or to other sectors of the United States border to either be expelled via Title 42 if possible, or placed into removal proceedings. Sometimes it requires a discussion in order to determine the path forward. Then, therefore, there remain less than 5,000 migrants in the Del Rio sector.
Can I ask about police reform as well? Sure. Obviously, reports that those talks are dead. What's the White House strategy now moving forward to try and rein in?
They're about to talk about policing. We're talking about Haiti today, but look, just so you're clear, she's saying, she gave now some stats. You can rewind it back, or you can go listen to Lord Fernandy on your own time if you want to. And she talks about the different flights that went out, how many Haitian migrants were on those repatriation flights, and that there remain about 5,000 Haitian migrants still living under the bridge in Del Rio. Okay, that's what that was about. And so next reporter asked a question about policing. Now, just so we're clear, in case you're a little confused, I had this image. I didn't want to let the broadcast go without putting this up. If you see this on your screen, this is a photo from the 1990s. I believe this one in particular was from 1994. This is a photograph, an original photograph of the migrant facility of Haitian immigrants in Guantanamo Bay, 1994. Remember, if you were in this broadcast earlier, we understand that there was a Haitian migrant crisis after Aristide was deposed and overthrown by what they called a military dictatorship in Haiti, which resulted in 12,000 Haitian migrants living at an immigration facility at Guantanamo Bay. And today we're asking the question, Biden is looking for a private contractor. The Biden administration is looking for a private contractor to set up an immigration facility or run an immigration facility at Guantanamo Bay. And they want personnel to speak not only Spanish, but also Haitian Creole specifically. Okay? All right. So I wanted to let y'all know that this image was when 12,000 Haitian migrants were living in Guantanamo Bay. in deplorable, inhumane conditions, they say, according to immigration rights activists, between 1991 and 1994. This is why research is important. But anyway, I want to invite y'all to go over to flynubianpower.com. That's flynubianpower.com and sign up for Unapologetic Black Power with Lioness Crowned. We had a wonderful class last night. Look, back to Lil Orphan Annie. All right, we're going to get to the next timestamp. We are going to the next timestamp. Are y'all learning anything today? Are you learning anything today? Hey, the tourists, that's what I want to know. Why Guantanamo Bay if they are flying them back to Haiti? Now, according to the administration, they're claiming that they're not sending them back to Haiti. However, remember, according to that article I read earlier from NPR.org that I also put into the chat, the Biden administration solicited a private contractor speaking Haitian Creole and running an immigration facility at Guantanamo Bay. They put that out last week. Since last week, this administration has been exposed for their anti-Black racism and bullshit. So I'm not surprised. We already know that these people take multiple sides of the argument, y'all. Don't we know that? I'm glad you learned something today, Nikki Red. You welcome, darling. So Black Light said yes. Exactly. Soul Diva is on code and already know what's up. Now, let's do this. Y'all ain't ready for this. Y'all are not ready for this timestamp. Y'all make sure y'all do me a favor. Hit the like button. I want y'all to share this broadcast in your networks because we want to expose and shame the devil, even the she-devils amongst us. Jen Psaki. Listen to this, y'all.
Respectfully, I just have a couple more questions. Everyone else got questions. And respectfully, I understand that you are the spokesperson for the president. These are images that are traumatizing Haitian Americans that he promised to treat respectfully and with humanity. Why isn't the president telling people himself these images that people say look like slavery are wrong? Me as president, I as president condemn them. How is he not doing that? Why is he not doing that? What are people supposed to take away from the fact that he's not at the bully pulpit himself talking about these images?
Come through, sis. Can somebody put that in the chat? Come through, sis. Come through, sis. See, you know what? You put Black folks in the right spaces when they want to. Folks know how to get on code when they want to. You better stick it to Lil Orphan Annie, sis. Let me go ahead and rewind that question right quick. And she started out by saying, respectfully, I understand that you're the mouthpiece of the president. I think she meant mouthpiece in terms of spokesperson. Well, never mind. That's what she said. Anyway, let me stop. Anyway, we're going to wheel it back.
Respectfully, I just have a couple more questions. Everyone else got questions. And respectfully, I understand that you are the spokesperson for the president. These are images that are traumatizing.
Let me pause that. She said, respectfully, I understand that you're the spokesperson of the president. See, my mind went somewhere else in the gutter. I thought she said mouthpiece. I thought I heard mouthpiece, but she didn't say that. She said spokesperson. All right, so here we go.
Haitian Americans that he promised to treat respectfully and with humanity. Why isn't the president telling people himself these images that people say look like slavery are wrong? Me as president, I as president condemn them. How is he not doing that? Why is he not doing that? What are people supposed to take away from the fact that he's not at the bully pulpit himself talking about these images?
Amish, I think people should take away that his actions make clear how horrible and horrific he thinks these images are, including an investigation, including a change.
Lil Orphan Annie, though, is going to say, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. I do apologize. I don't like being sorry. I do apologize. But we're going to have to wheel this back, and we're going to have to do it a little bit different this time so you can understand. You can understand the Mayo Alabaster defensiveness, defensive energy that Jen Psaki, that she had in this moment. So we're going to do this. PBS, this is PBS already did the copyright disclaimer. Look at Jen Psaki.
Respectfully, I just have a couple more questions. Everyone else got questions. And respectfully, I understand that you are the spokesperson for the president. These are images that are traumatizing Haitian Americans that he promised to treat respectfully and with humanity. Why isn't the president telling people himself these images that people say look like slavery?
Look at her face.
Me as president, I as president condemn them. How is he not doing that? Why is he not doing that? What are people supposed to take away from the fact that he's not actively but himself talking about these images?
Misha, I think people should take away that his actions make clear how horrible and horrific he thinks these images are.
First of all,
including an investigation, including a change of policy.
Peep her tone. Her tone got really low. She got really stern. And I think she turned red.
Including conveying clearly that this is not acceptable and he's not going to stand for this in the Biden-Harris administration.
She said his actions make clear. Sis asked a question. The journalist was like, why hasn't he directly condemned this? Why hasn't he said anything? And so Lil Orphan Annie got real low with her tone and real stern and was like, I'm white and I say so. Stay in your place. Watch this.
Actions make that absolutely crystal clear, as have our engagements with a range of voices, a range of concerned advocates, members of Congress, and others who we want to communicate with, not just about our horror, but also about what our immigration policy is moving.
Not with the hands.
Forward.
Also said in his letter, he called the U.S. policy inhumane, deeply flawed. Does the president believe anything in this letter that Daniel Foote is saying rings true, has some sort of point that he believes is true?
Which aspect?
He called the policy toward Haiti inhumane. He said that
He wasn't specific in his letter.
Sis asked the question. The question was very direct. It was very clear. Lil Orphan Annie then commences to act like she didn't know what she was talking about. Which part of the letter? The sister was like, when he said that the policies in Haiti, what's going on is inhumane. When Mr. Foote, whatever, the white dude, when he resigned, the special envoy to Haiti, she was like, well, he wasn't specific in his letter. Dismissive and condescending and playing dumb and feigning ignorance like a mofo. Let me get the woo.
What I noted earlier before, let me finish, Yamiche. What I noted earlier before is that we have taken very specific actions as it relates to the horrific photo.
If Lil Orphan Annie don't put her MFing hand down, y'all, if she don't put her hand down though, listen, y'all need to be watching these things every day. It's not just about the border or what's going on with Haiti. This is how this chick, the mouthpiece, I'm calling her the mouthpiece for President Joe Crime Bill Biden. This is how she answers questions and reacts to questions that are specifically exposing the administration's anti-Black racism, defensiveness, disrespect, being condescending, feigning ignorance, acting like she don't know what the is going on or what's being asked when a Black person, a Black woman is asking her these damn questions. Do y'all see the she-devil at work?
That we're not going to stand for in this administration. I don't know if he was referring to that or something else. That's why I raised the point. His purview, let me finish, Yamiche. His purview was not about migration. He didn't raise his concerns about migration privately. We respect his point of view, respect his ability to bring forward concerns, to raise ideas, to raise proposals. That's certainly something the president welcomes from everybody.
I don't know about y'all, but it looks to me like Lil Orphan Annie wants to come from behind the podium because she keep posturing herself as if she's. Don't come for Yamiche. Answer the damn question, Lil Orphan Annie.
On his team, and something that he had the opportunity to do in a range of meetings. We also have to make decisions here based on what we feel are going to help promote democracy in Haiti, including Haitian-led reforms, Haitian-led steps on the ground to make changes in the country.
A number of people who say that he did raise concerns over the deportation of Haitians and the treatment of Haitians. Are you saying then that Daniel Foote is not telling the truth in this letter?
I would point you to the State Department, who have conveyed clearly in their statement what I just said.
One last question, I promise. Yeah. The last question is Daniel Foote, the former special envoy to Haiti. He's raising this idea that the U.S. should be listening to Haitian civil society, not backing the current prime minister who was not elected by the people. What's the president's response to that? Because those civil society members have been telling me and other reporters for months, even before the assassination of the president, that President Biden was not listening to the people of Haiti about how to move forward with their government.
We support a Haitian-led process charting the country's course through the current political situation. We don't back any one political group, and we continue to encourage all political stakeholders to engage in dialogue and find solutions together. And that has been our objective through all of our policy process making throughout the course of this, in addition to providing a range of assistance, training to people on the ground. Go ahead.
I just want us to be very, very clear that shout out to my brother, Black Voltron Reloaded. I just want to make it clear that this is what White House press secretary under the Joe Crime Bill Biden administration is defending. This is what she's white-splaining so hard and defending. And this is what she is doing, like linguistic gymnastics to deflect from, what you see on your screen right here. And this is what she is so on code with white supremacy that she refuses to denounce. They won't name it specifically. President Joe Crime Bill Biden will not condemn this bullshit that you see on your screen directly, because they're all on the same code. And do not for a second, my people, if you're tuned into the Lioness Den, do not feed into these false, misleading, bogus claims that all of this that's going on, that you see right here, is somehow the fault of Donald J. Trump, as opposed to the new bigot in chief of the United States of America, President Sleepy Joe, Jim Crow Joe, Crime Bill Biden. Just to be clear. And so then Jen Psaki, this chick, ends up taking a question from someone else. Now, perhaps my favorite part of the whole White House press briefing today, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button and share this broadcast, was this. Y'all, in the last 10 minutes, it popped off. Now, what I love is when this dude named Peter Dooley, I think his name is, he's like a blonde hair dude from Fox News. He's a press correspondent for the White House. He be socking into Psaki ass. And every time he asks a question or says anything, she gets bent out of shape and tries to put a little, oh my God, fragile white woman card. Listen to this part, y'all.
To the southern border. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. I have a question about the numbers that you gave and the math. So there are 15,000 migrants under the Del Rio Bridge Saturday. If you add up the ones that you say were expelled or released, it's less than 5,000. Say there's 5,000 that are still left. Where's everybody else?
I'm happy to get you a more fruitful rundown for you, if helpful, from the Department of Homeland Security.
Okay, and when you talk about how some of these people are being placed in removal proceedings, that does not mean removed, correct?
That means they're in the process of going through a removal proceeding so that it can go through the process, our immigration process that's long been in place.
We understand that basically most of these people that are going into removal proceedings are being put on either buses from Del Rio to El Paso and Laredo, or being flown to Tucson with no COVID testing. unless they show symptoms. How is that helping anybody stop the spread?
Again, we have a protocol and process in place as it relates to COVID in terms of testing and quarantining, and also vaccines are provided for a range of migrants by our partner organizations in the region. What is happening now is that, as I outlined yesterday, is that if individuals cannot be expelled under Title 42, they are placed in removal proceedings, as you referred to. That may require them being placed in ICE detainment facilities, or it may require being given a notice to appear, where biometric data and other data is taken. In terms of their transportation methods, I'd certainly point you to the Department of Homeland Security.
But why should somebody, say in Laredo, Texas, or El Paso, or Tucson, Arizona, have to have their chance of catching COVID go up because hundreds of miles away there's an open border?
Interesting.
Well, there certainly is not an open border. We are continuing to employ our immigration proceedings and process and restrictions at the border, and that includes the implementation of enforcing Title 42, which is an authority, a public health authority. It includes moving people into either a process for expedited removal or removal proceedings. That is our immigration process that we are proceeding.
Process.
You say the border is not open, but we're told by our teams on the ground, you guys are releasing pretty much all family units, couples where the woman says that she is pregnant, or single women who say that they are pregnant, and that nobody actually has to take a pregnancy test unless they want to. So
Are you suggesting you don't believe when women say they're pregnant? Is that a big issue, we think, at the border?
I am not in charge of keeping the border secured. You guys are.
Pregnant women are posing a big threat to the border?
You tell me.
To the border communities? Is that a big issue?
You tell me.
I'm not aware of pregnant women being a big issue of concern to people at the border.
Ooh, she know how to deflect. She knows how to deflect. She played the ovary card. She played the feminist card. Listen, I'm going to rewind that part back. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button and share this broadcast. You're tuned in and tapped into the Lioness Den. And Jen Psaki is white-splaining as Peter Doocy is socking it to her socky ass. Here we go.
Either a process for expedited removal or removal proceedings. That is our immigration process that we are proceeding underneath.
A final follow-up. You say the border is not open, but we're told by our teams on the ground, you guys are releasing pretty much all family units, couples where the woman says that she is pregnant, or single women who say that they are pregnant, and that nobody actually has to take a pregnancy test unless they want to. So
are you suggesting you don't believe when women say they're pregnant? Is that a big issue, we think, at the border?
She said, so you're suggesting that you don't believe when women say they're pregnant. Is that a big issue at the border? Is that a big issue at the border? Oh my God, believe all women. Is this a big issue at the border? You don't believe women when they said that they're pregnant? He just said, let's just see what Peter Doocy said. And y'all let me know if Lil Orphan Annie was justified in her response. Y'all hit the like button and share this broadcast. You're tuned into the Lioness Den. Weekdays, normally 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Fly Nubian Queen TV.com. Fly Nubian Queen TV.com. Make sure y'all come on over and join us at the All Black National Convention. And shout out to our sister, Dual I Am. Y'all ready? Y'all let me know. Was Lil Orphan Annie was Peppermint Patty justified in this response to Peter Doocy's question?
You guys are releasing pretty much all family units, couples where the woman says that she is pregnant, or single women who say that they are pregnant, and that nobody actually has to take a pregnancy test unless they.
So what he's saying is y'all are releasing anyone who, families and people who said that they're pregnant, they don't even have to take a pregnancy test. Is that not a legitimate question when you're talking about immigration and securing the border and who gets to come in and what the criterion is or not? But what did Lil Orphan Annie do? Actually, it's not what she did. It's not what she did. It's not really what she, it's not what, look, hold up. Hold the hell up.
charge of keeping the border secure. You guys are.
Pregnant women are posing a big threat to the border, to the border communities. Is that a big issue?
You tell me.
I'm not aware of pregnant women being a big issue of concern to people at the border. What I will note for you, Peter, is that, as I said earlier, there is a process. If people cannot be expelled under
There go that
242,
hand again.
for a range of reasons. Some of that is because countries they came from or other countries, including Mexico, may not be accepting families with children under the age of 7. They are placed in removal proceedings. Those removal proceedings require them to either go to a detention facility or require them to go get a notice to appear, and including providing their biometric data and otherwise, so that they can be, we can ensure we know where they are, and we can ensure we know when they're going to come back.
Body language.
So that's what the process is. If there's a big outrage about pregnant women, I'm not tracking it.
The issue is not about pregnant women. The issue is the border open or is the border closed? Because my understanding is that a lot of this is happening on this side.
She
I
said,
think you know the answer to that question, and I just conveyed clearly that we're
she said, y'all, do you get this? Oh my gosh. Yo, do you know that, like, I would feel sorry for any Black person, especially a Black woman, that will have to work under this peppermint patty.
can ensure we know when they're going to come back. So that's what the process is. If there's a big outrage about pregnant women, I'm not tracking it.
The issue is not about
If there is a big outrage about pregnant women, I'm not tracking it. Y'all. Ooh, some Racer Bow. I'm done. She's hella bothered. She's always bothered by Peter Doocy. She's bothered by Black reporters, Black women. I never see any Black male reporter. I haven't seen any really at these press conferences lately. But when Peter Doocy, the white dude, comes from Fox News, it gets all frazzled up. All frazzled and fragile. Yeah, she be going on and on. Yeah, we gotta bring them in. We have to bring in the receipts. And interesting, I don't know what part of the press conference it was today, y'all, but she was like, we have the data, we got receipts. I was like, who the hell does she think she is? Or who's she talking to? But anyway, look.
About pregnant women. The issue is the border open or is the border closed? Because my understanding is that a lot of this is happening on this side of the border.
I think you know the answer to that question, and I just conveyed clearly that we're implementing our border restrictions, including Title 42, including making clear that people who are coming through irregular migration, this is not the time to come, and they will be placed in removal proceedings. Go ahead.
Hi, Jen. Yesterday, Minority Leader McConnell and Senator Scott held a news conference in which they essentially argued Democrats control the White House and both chambers of Congress.
So that's a different issue that reporter is asking about. I think that's all I wanted to show y'all today from.
What was the other piece
Have
of
you
your
listened
question?
to?
Complicate your bill if you have to have a debt ceiling fight.
Talking about a debt ceiling and trying to avoid a Democrat shutdown. The House signed something. Now it has to go over to the Senate. I would not be surprised if there's still a possibility that there could be a government shutdown, but we will find out soon, y'all. We shall see.
Economic experts, the American people worry about the debt limit. That's not our ideal. We think we should be able to avoid that. And certainly that would allow more time to move on with the rest of the agenda, whether it's confirming nominees.
So I don't know. She seemed a little I don't want to say premenstrual because she looks like she probably has passed that age, but she seemed like she was acting a bit menopausal today. Like she was having some personal female issues, like maybe some hot flashes or something like that, because these reporters was bringing all that heat. But quite frankly, I think that it's damn interesting how good or how far she'll go to white splain. How far she'll go to white splain. All right. Yeah, she was definitely perturbed. Definitely. Absolutely. 1,000%. Ooh, she was testy. She was testy. Candace DeLeo said people get upset when others don't believe their lies. Liberals are very arrogant and they think they know everything. Hormones out of whack. Triggered. Salty. I used to be in a spelling bee when I was young, y'all. Salty. May I have that word in a sentence, please? Thank you. Salty. Before I spell it, may I have the pronunciation of that word? Can you repeat the pronunciation? Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, salty. S-A-L-T-Y. And then it will go ding, 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 ding. I'm like, yes, I made it to the next round. You go back to your seat and then you wait. Salty, testy, hormonal. Oh, welcome, Mr. Washington. She was triggered, right? Now the question did come up. The question did come up as to whether this Biden administration is planning to send Haitian migrants to Guantanamo Bay. She denied it, but I say we shall see. We gonna see. And we'll see who the next special envoy to Haiti will be. This dude Foote, who was serving as the special envoy to Haiti, resigned because he said he refuses to be a part of the inhumane treatment and operation that's going on with these Haitian migrants, right? So he refused to do it. So he resigned. So we got to we have to see who's going to be next. All right, y'all. We have been on here for 1 hour and 6 minutes. I'm really grateful that y'all came into the Lioness Den today. Welcome if this is your first time. We're here normally weekdays, 12 p.m. Eastern time. I may not be able to catch the press conference tomorrow, but we'll continue bringing the receipts. I urge you all to start listening to these daily press conferences. These policies and things start floating around. These conversations are happening. Reporters are tending to ask some really good questions, and you get to see how the representative, the spokesperson of the Joe Bill Biden presidential administration responds to them. And what we have been exposing this week is this administration's public position on and statements about, or the lack thereof, the anti-Black racism and inhumane treatment of our Haitian brothers and sisters who are also victims of white supremacy, y'all, at the border. All right. So I want to thank y'all for coming in. Thank you so much. Thank you. We will be on tomorrow. I don't know if we're going to talk about Peppermint Patty, but hey, who knows what she may do or say or what this administration may do. But other thing is, Joe Bill Biden, I can't fault white men more than white women for the global prison system of racism, white supremacy. Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. teaches us that they are called racist man and racist woman. I think they're equally as guilty of perpetuating and sustaining a global prison system of anti-Black racism, white supremacy. But notice how the white man in this case, Trump did it too. They will get a white female press secretary to take the hits for him. And she's more than willing to take these hits. She's more than willing to take these hits. All right. So Jen Psaki, a little frustrated, a little testy, was taking hits, but she was firing back. She was definitely firing back. And so we would expect her to continue to be loyal to this administration and to all of the policies coming out of this administration, irrespective of how anti-Black and ugly, racist, deplorable they are. Because this is damn despicable what's going on, what's being defended here. Right? Clearly, no justice has been produced for these Haitian migrants at the border. They do not deserve to be whipped, chased on horses, babies terrorized, and all this extra stuff. Like, come on. No, absolutely not. So This concludes our time today. Remember to go over to the All Black National Convention website, allblacknationalconvention.com. Join us on Orlando next month. We're really excited. We will be in the building. Peep the lineup. I'm really excited to reunite with our brother, Risa Islam. Again, he will be there. Dr. Nuri Muhammad, Queen of Fua. Oh my goodness. Y'all need to be at the All Black National Convention. All right, y'all. This broadcast is ending, but so is global racism and white supremacy. We will trample this beast through fortitude, preparedness, and collectivism. And always remember that they stole us, they sold us, so they owe us. Until next time, family, peace and Black power.